Hello, and welcome back to Let's Get Lit. In today's episode, we're going to go over Chapter 11 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Now, I hope you're ready, and remember, the previous 10 videos are up for your viewing pleasure, so that way you're always caught up. Alright, you guys ready to go back in time? Well, here we go. Alright guys, welcome back. So, in this chapter, the creature starts off his story to Victor. The creature tells Victor about the moment he became alive and how he also took some time because he had all these new senses that were coming to him. The light, the heat, everything like that. So his first instinct was he wanted to get away from the light. It was so bright. And so he basically runs off whenever Victor exits the apartment. And before he runs off, he grabs clothes and he goes to the forest near Ingolstadt. When he gets to the forest, he decides he's going to try to find some food. So he finds some berries and some nuts. He eats. He finds a stream nearby. He gets some water, and then he sleeps because he's really tired. You know, being alive and all makes you really tired. And so in the forest, while he's there, over the next few days, he learns what food is. He learns what food is edible. He also figures out like animals, and he learns the difference between herbs and food and birds. And he also notes how he really loves the blackbird, how he loves the music that it entails. So then, the next few days, he's walking around in the forest. He also notes that as he grabbed clothes from Victor's house when he ran away, they weren't enough to keep him warm. So as he's walking, he finds a cloak under one of the trees, and he puts it on and it keeps him somewhat warm. A few days go by, and some travelers have left a little fire going. And so the creature runs to this fire because he has no idea what it is, and he sticks his hand in the fire and it burns him, so he pulls it out. But he notices that it keeps him warm. It's got a really warm feeling to it. So he goes into the woods and he figures out what material it is that keeps this fire going, which is wood. So he grabs a few bundles and he heads back to the fire. However, the wood that he's grabbed is wet, so it won't really light. So he gets a little bit sad, but the wood dries out as the creature's sitting there with the fire, and then it starts to catch fire. So he's very excited. And over the next few days, he learns to cook the food, and he realizes that nuts and roots are a lot better when heated up, but berries are pretty gross when heated up. And then a few days, again, so all of this is really like in a few weeks' time span. So over the next few days, food becomes harder and harder to find. Winter's getting really harsh. And so he decides to abandon his fire, and he decides that he's going to walk. And so he walks for a few more days, and on one of these days it starts to snow, and it covers the entire ground in white, so he can't see anything. And as he's walking out of the forest, he sees this hut. And so he walks to this hut, because there's smoke coming out of it, and he thinks that maybe someone can help him there. Maybe there's someone who can give him food or comfort or something. And so he goes to the hut, and he knocks on the door, and the shepherd answers. And of course, the shepherd's back is turned, so he can't see the creature. And the creature is invited in, so he comes in. The shepherd turns around and screams. He's super afraid to see the creature's face. And so he runs out of the hut. And the creature, not used to this, he just looks around and he sees that there's still food on the shepherd's table from his breakfast. And so the creature decides to eat the breakfast and go to sleep because he's been walking for so long. After a day or two spending it in the hut, he decides that he's going to go to the nearby village and see if he can try to find more food or try to find people and see if he can do something because he doesn't know what to do. So he goes to the village, and as he's walking through the village and as he's walking to it, he notices how beautiful it is, how all of the structures are so nice and how the buildings are beautiful and the stone and material that they use is amazing. However, he's met with real hatred. The villagers they throw things at him, and they call him names, and they basically chase him out of town. And so the poor creature has to run away. And as he's running away, he finds this little cottage. And so he gets to the cottage, and he finds this little hovel. And it's just a little structure that he's found. And so he gets into it. And he remarks how it's not the best hovel. He actually has to dig into the ground in order to get into the hovel. But it keeps him away from the elements. It keeps him away from the rain and the wind and the snow, and the creature's really happy about this. Now later on we find out that this hovel is actually a pigsty that's located behind the house, right next to the fireplace. So it keeps him pretty warm at night when the people who live inside the cottage light the fire. So he gets to this and he's kind of found it content. And as he's inside the hovel, no one from the outside can see that he's in there. And so he notices a young woman, or a young girl, walk by. And she has this pail. And so she goes to get the milk from the cow and she comes back. And over the next day, the creature really kind of studies the people who were there. He actually gets out of the hovel at one point when he sees no one around, and he goes around to one of the windows, and he notices that it's all boarded up, except there's a hole that's just big enough for his eyes to kind of see through. And he sees an old man, and the old man is playing an instrument, and the young woman is standing or sitting down next to him. And he notices that the old man is making beautiful music, and the woman is crying tears of joy, sentimental tears. And so he notices this dynamic. But then he also notices a young man that's come inside, and he's got bread and cheese, and he's got some wood for the fire, and he's doing his chores, is what the creature figures out. And so the young woman comes up to help the young man, and they get everything ready, and basically the creature does a study of the people who live there. And this is pretty much all of chapter 11. A lot happens in this chapter, but that's pretty much the basics that you need to know. The creature finds the hovel. He kind of learns a little bit more about life, about food, about cooking, and then he finds these humans that he starts watching and he starts studying. So anyways, guys, this is all of chapter 11. Stay tuned because chapter 12 is coming up next, and we're going to see what the creature gets into. But have a great one, stay lit, and guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe down below so that way we can grow our audience and our fan base. And I hope you guys are really enjoying this. So have a great one. Bye.